Welcome back, friends. So, as the leaders of the world's two most powerful economies rekindled personal ties in Beijing on Thursday and Friday, with a cavalcade of American business leaders accompanying US President Donald Trump, the Chinese capital turned into something of a spectacle. The visit, the first by a sitting US president to China in nearly a decade, was full of friendly overtures, closely orchestrated pageantry, business deal making, and headline grabbing sideshows that captivated audiences on both sides of the Pacific. Beijing deployed its diplomatic arsenal to the full. So we had it laid on brass bands and flower waving, school children at the airport, a state banquet at the Great Hall of the People, a private tour of the Temple of Heaven, and a closing garden stroll at Zhongantai, the walked compound where China's top leaders have worked and lived since 1949, during which Chinese President Xi Jinping offered Trump rose seats as a parting gift. They were unusually long handshakes, back patting, smiling, and synchronized walking during public appearances. I believe beyond public appearances as well. The interaction was warmest and much more relaxed than some previous Trump Xi encounters. Crowds gathered across the streets near the Four Seasons Hotel and the Great Hall for a glimpse of Trump's motorcade. It was quite a spectacle, friends. And many had an exam the next day, but almost everyone followed the broadcast or the social media clips. She hosted Trump at a lavish state banquet at the Great Hall of People on Thursday, raising a toast before an audience of cabinet officials and executives from some of the two countries' most successful companies. In his address, Trump called Xi my friend and said that we are going to have a fantastic future together, while inviting Xi and First Lady Peng Liyuan to visit the White House on September 24th. Following his opening remarks, excuse me, Trump raised a glass filled with what looked like white wine, though the famously teetotal president likely had an alternative. Protocol for non drinking leaders, as in the case of George W. Bush, typically involves sparkling cider or just juice. White House didn't respond to request with what exactly were the ingredients. Anyway, but a gesture of toasting whatever was in that glass was widely appraised on Chinese social media as a sign of respect for the host country and the leadership. In China, Trump is a cultural icon and thus he's a source of conversation, disputes, and inspirations, as you may find in him and his leadership team. On the banquet sidelines, Chinese CEOs jostled to grasp a brief moment with Elon Musk. He had selfies taken with Chinese business leaders, also with Apple's Tim Cook, and we had a great amount of facial expressions to match. So Xiaomi's CEO Lei Hun, a longtime admirer of Musk and one of the first owners of a Tesla Model S in China, was seen taking a selfie with the Tesla CEO before the start of the state banquet. So Musk, seemingly exasperated by the selfie request, raised his eyebrows and huffed between the photo was taken before the photo was taken. The moment went viral, of course, in China, with many people on social media joking that Lee had been humbled by his hero. So all this, and then we had, of course, other than the very nice welcome, there was analysis of what really came about, other than the 200 Boeing jets that uh, became a part of the declaration that Donald Trump said had been ordered by China from Boeing. Um, Trump had wrapped up the summit on Friday with a private stroll with Xi through Yongan-hai, where the foreign leaders um had been invited to enter. Walking through a nice passageway, you could also see him walk through the private residence of Xi Jinping. So all this made for good pageantry. Now, as far as what came out of as far as the business is concerned, there are many things I believe are going to come up over the next few days. Even as far as Chinese involvement with the Iran stalemate is concerned, I think there is a lot happening behind the scenes that is coming to the eye. If you would have noticed, Iran is going to open its stock exchange after 81 days. That means they feel it's safe now to open the stock exchange. All these are steps in the right direction. Many people think that nothing really came out of this great summit. I think there is much more than meets the eye. Other than the pageantry that was there, I believe that there is a lot that was communicated between the Chinese and the American side, and which is going to have repercussions over the days, weeks, even years. China definitely insisted that Taiwan would be off limits for the Americans. So maybe this was something which was a quid pro quo, and the Americans' request for an intervention in the Iranian matter would be sealed with China talking about Taiwan being something exclusive territory for China, with America having a very limited role or no role at all. We had Donald Trump later on talking that Taiwan is too far away, it's 9,500 miles, and it's too difficult to reach, which means maybe the United States is now beginning to wash its hands away from Taiwan's independence. So there were many things that did not meet the eye. There's a great possibility that China is now working behind the scenes. And if not over the next couple of days, I think over the next few weeks, you may see something more coming in where China plays a more proactive role and something more positive comes out of the Xi Jinping Donald Trump summit in Beijing last week. So those who think that nothing came out of it, I think is understatement. I think there's much more which is beneath the surface. The works are going on, and if not over this week, which I don't think is looks very unlikely, but over the next few weeks, I think something positive pertaining to the Strait of Hormuz may appear, and this may be pleasant news for the financial markets across the world, and also for those who are rather worried about the energy crisis. They may see if the Strait of Hormuz opens, then you may find the oil prices come down, friends. To get to know more predictions about the US markets, do join our Prime Plus Telegram group by WhatsApping us on 732-732-2720. Happy investing. Have a great week ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.